I'm airing my truth. That's what that is. And bravo for me, because I'm having the guts to step out and say this is what I know to be real. Not just because, it is real, but because this is what I know personally. As we all see the world differently. But a couple other people have stepped up, with like similar tales. And I have one lady over here that fucking, some old bastard pipes up and he goes, well, bottom line is this, you could just go to a shelter. And I'm freaked out. Like, it's about a week or two after whatever, I can't remember what it was, but, I'm freaked out. And the chick's like, here's $40. Here, you can have half my pack of smokes or what. I can't even remember if that was a $40 deal or, you know what it was, just the pack of smokes. She gave me 4 smokes. She said, look, I've heard horror stories about those shelters. And you know what? Not everybody would see it that way, but the majority would see it that way if there was actually something to be told where that is concerned. See, for the fact that you have a lot of people that are roaming through there that have houses that come from so-called civilized society, and you can't be running those places like a fucking jail hierarchy. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't fucking work that way, because a lot of people either don't recognize or don't follow that way of thinking, that way of belief. But the majority of what has gone on, and the majority of the fact that I've heard more than one person pipe up with a shitty story about the shelter system here, abroad, whatever, and I personally experienced that shit. If there's smoke, there's fire, and if there's fire, there's more than likely something to be said for what the original person put on the various social media websites to begin with. What do you think? Up to and including behavioral modification, which there didn't need to be any to begin with. I feel like I've adequately made that point. And you're going to say that you made a man out of me. Well, a man, by my estimation, is able to work. A man, by my estimation, is able to have full control of his cognitive functions. A man of my estimation doesn't involuntarily shit himself at 6 o'clock in the morning based on external circumstances that were not in his control. So you get my point. So, be it ever so benevolent of you to occasionally grant a wish here, there, and everywhere, being the fact that you're starting to remind me a lot of Robin Williams' Blue Genie, and I feel that, and I dig it. When one or two people point towards something and then they can make it valid by airing their opinions, grievances, stories. I don't know if you really want to call that experience strength of health, or more than likely a cautionary tale. What do you figure? And I sit here and I try to bide my time or bite my tongue, thinking that this is going to be over. Realizing that although somebody says that I am biased and prejudicial towards people without homes, then coming up to the conclusion that I hide 2 boxes of clothes in Mission Creek Park takes all of 5 seconds for those clothes to disappear. So yeah, I would say that some things have got to change here one way or another, good or bad or indifferent. As you can completely derail somebody from what is tantamount to getting an eviction notice and having to gather some time so that they don't run into any further difficulty or long-term derailment or long-term problems that they can't handle or shouldn't have to, for that matter. And perhaps it was the point of making sure that I knew it wasn't a good place for me to be at. And at that particular point in time, due to external circumstances that were out of my control, I felt worn out.
What's the next time?
Sick. And there wasn't a whole bunch that I could do other than sit back and watch the tail unfold in front of me, because little did I know there was bigger plans at work. And like I said, when one person says one thing, then it's one thing. When about 5 or 6 people come up with the same exact story, although slightly variations on that same exact story, because they don't, well, no one sees it the same way. Like Nellie just said, like I've said, you may be looking at the same tree, but it's from different angles. But the center of the story, you see, the center of a jelly donut is a jelly donut, different flavors, but it's still jelly.